The pasuk in our parsha says, "V'ra'u kol amei haaretz." The nations of the world will see. Ki shem Hashem nikra alecha. The name of Hashem is on you. V'yar'u mimeka, and they will fear you. Chazal say in Brachos Daf Vav, Chazal darshan this pasuk that refers to tefilin shebarosh. When the nation sees tefillin that you have on your head, they fear you. There's a famous ma'aseh about the Pnei Yoshua. Pnei Yoshua was going out of his house one morning to go to daven, and the city was dead. There's no one in the streets. This was very strange. He went out every single morning at the same time, and a lot of people in the streets. No one was out there. So he asked someone, "What's going on? Where's everybody?" So they told him, "Don't you know? You didn't hear? There's a lion that escaped from the zoo. He's roaming around the streets. It's dangerous." And the Pnei Yoshua asked, "Take me to see that lion." He said, "You're not afraid?" He said, "No." The Pnei Yoshua was already wearing his tefillin. They brought him to where the lion is, and as soon as the lion saw the Pnei Yoshua, the lion ran away from the city and never came back. Why? Because the pasuk says that the nations and the animals, Chayas Asadeh, will see you, and that refers to tefillin, v'yar'u mimeka, they will fear you. That has to do with a person who has his tefillin shel rosh, not a person who just happens to put a black box on his head. That doesn't necessarily work to put fear in others. But when you have tefillin, like a Pnei Yoshua treats the tefillin, it works. Al kol panim. The pasuk here says, "V'ra'u kol amei haaretz," all the nations. And why can't you say "V'ra'u amei haaretz"? What did you gain by adding the word kol? All of them. You know who asks this shayla? Rab Shimon bar Yochai. And Rab Shimon bar Yochai says, Tana, Rab Shimon bar Yochai, "V'ra'u kol amei haaretz," this is in Yerushalmi in Brachos, Perek Hei Halacha Aleph. Kol, afilu, this comes to include, afilu ruchos ve'afilu sheidim. Even demons and spirits will fear you when you have tefillin shel rosh. How much more so a lion? It's a lion. When you have tefillin shel rosh, should you always make sure that your kippah is on as well, or you don't have to have a yarmulke, you have already tefillin? You should have to cover your head. So it doesn't make a difference with what you cover, tefillin or kippah, or the tefillin requires a kippah.
So first of all, even covering your head is just like the Rabbanon. It's not like not like a doraisa or tefillin. It's a nice thing that we do.
Okay. So that nice thing applies also when you have tefillin? I don't know.
And secondly, on the other hand, it says that one should cover the head with a talis.
That's when you're davening. That brings Yirah Shamayim. Very, very kedai to do that. First of all, it brings Yirah Shamayim. Easy, cheap segula from Chazal doesn't cost you anything. Maybe a few extra drops of sweat, but it's worth it for Yirah Shamayim. And it helps you have kavanah because you're not seeing what's on the right and what's on the left. You can focus in the siddur. Easy segula. From the beginning of tefillah to the end. But I'm not asking about talis. Head covering, your yarmulke. Do you have to put on when your tefillin is on or not shaykh?
Sometimes when you forget to put it on, people yell at you to put it back on.
If you forget to put one on.
You take your keep off to put your tefillin on.
Why? That's my first question. You took your kippah off to put your tefillin on. That means you were without your kippah while you have your tefillin. Is that okay to do?
The tefillin on your head.
Some people are actually very, very makpid. And they put the tefillin on when the kippah is there. They play with it until it works. It can work. Try it, it can work. Some people are very careful. Are they right? Chidish. Yeshuos Yankiv. An Orach Chaim, Shulchan Aruch Chaim, it's printed a perush on Siman Beis, Seif Cotton Beis, and he says, what's the reason you should not walk around without head covering? Yirah Shamayim. Shabbos Kuf Nun Vav Amud Beis is a ma'aseh. The mother of Reb Nachman she went to astrologist when she was pregnant, and the astrologist told her, your baby here, this kid is going to be a ganav. She was very worried. She went to the Chachamim, what should I do? They told her, make sure he always had his head covering on. Always. It brings Yirah Shamayim. And from the time he was born, he put his kippah on. She put his kippah on. In fact, the Gemara says that later on in life, at one point, for whatever reason, his kippah flew off. And suddenly he had this urge, and he climbed on a tree and he took a fruit off. Somebody else's fruit. What's that?
With his teeth. Yeah.
With his teeth, roar! I gotta have it now! Head covering brings Yiras Shamayim. But we just said about the tefillin, what does the tefillin do? It brings also Yiras Shamayim. V'yaru it brings fear. Mimele says the Yeshua's Yankev, if you have the tefillin, it takes care of Yiras Shamayim, so you don't have to have a yarmulke when you tefillin azan. What a chiddush. He brings another Gemara. Brachos daf lamed amud beis. Rabbi Yirmiyah sees Reb Zera. And he says to him, Rabbi Yirmiyah says to him, Reb Zera, why are you laughing? Why are you joking around? What's going on with you? He says to him, no, it's okay. I have tefillin on. Tefillin brings Yiras Shamayim. I'm good. I'm taking care of Yiras Shamayim. In other words, don't worry that I'm joking. Pasuk says, Vegilu bera'ada. Rejoice while you're trembling. I have the trembling part I took care of. It's tefillin. Which means tefillin brings Yiras Shamayim. If the yarmulke is supposed to bring Yiras Shamayim, but tefillin does that already, Mimele, you don't have to put on a yarmulke when you have your tefillin on.
Question. There are different levels of Yiras Shamayim. Even within ourselves, sometimes we feel more Yiras Shamayim today than yesterday. So why can't we say, look, tefillin gives you 10 points of Yiras Shamayim. Yarmulke gives you 3 points. So
why don't you want to have 13 together? I agree. That's why I suggested before. People are makpid to make sure that even when they put the tefillin on, it's always on. But lichora, he says, al pidin, you don't have to. Which means you can't protest if you see a person with tefillin without a yarmulke. He brings another raya. Medrash Rabbah in Vayikra, Parasha Chav Zayin Oiz Vav. There's a famous medrash there about HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying to Klal Yisrael, you see, I don't burden you. For example, the korbanos. I didn't ask you to go to the woods and find all kinds of behemoths. I ask you to bring behemoths which are near your house. The goat, the sheep. I make it easy for you. The Medrash also says, the Kodesh Baruch Hu says to Klal Yisrael, what do I ask of you? Say Kriyat Shema. And it's implied from the Medrash that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is not makpid if you say it with a head covering or without. You can even say it without a head covering. How is it possible? When do you say Kriyat Shema? In the morning. You have your tefillin on because you're not allowed to say Kriyat Shema without tefillin because then it's as if you're testifying false edus sheker. Mimele, you see that since you have your tefillin on, you don't need a yarmulke. Chiddush of Yeshua's Yankev.